But if your neighbor is still on the couch after 5 years, what do you know? It's not about the fire anymore, it's about not having to get off the couch. And that's pretty much where Hillary thinks we are in Iraq. And so, not because you want it to fail. Nobody should be pulling for that place to fail. We should be praying for it to succeed. But if they don't have to make these decisions, they will never unify this country. That's the first thing. The second thing is, we have used the Army, the Marine Corps, the National Guard, and the Reserve. For 1 year now, the Pentagon has been ordering the training of Navy reservists and Navy personnel in arming infantry tactics. And starting last fall, we began to deploy Navy reservists to the Iraq theater to serve with the Army. We have no ground forces left. We have just about broken the military. You want diplomacy to be more important in the next 4 years? You better have a good military. The fact that we have the finest military in the world makes our diplomacy effective. The next president has got to rebuild the military and its readiness in every way. And you've got to make families want to stay in it. You can't have all these multiple deployments. So she believes it's better for the military. And the third thing is, it's way better for the war on terror against the real enemy, the Al-Qaeda in Iraq, because we have never done what we should do there. The world supports us, our NATO allies are there, and we don't have to pay the whole bill. But just 10 days ago, the Commandant of the Marine Corps said, this is not a Democratic politician, the Commandant of the Marine Corps said, I want to send 3,500 more Marines to Afghanistan. I know we need it, and I will do it. But they cannot stay very long unless you let me bring the Marines out of Iraq. Look, there's only so much these people can do. They've worked miracles, but they do have to sleep at night. And they can't be in two places at once. They do have families. They have children at home. These are problems. And we already have over 60,000 people who are wounded. We have to take care of. So it's her position. Her position is that if you elect her president, she will do everything she can to begin a rather rapid redeployment of the troops home, leaving the special forces in the north, taking care of the civilians and the Iraqis who stuck their neck out for us, then rebuild the American military to get its readiness levels up and redouble our efforts against the terrorists in Afghanistan. If that's what you want, you should vote for her for president. And you get it. Now, the third thing I want to say for her is that when you hire a president, you have to hire someone who can turn the good intentions of the campaign into real changes in your life. And she's the best change maker I've ever known. Better than me, better than anybody else I've ever known. She can look at a problem and figure out what should be done to make somebody else's life better. And I think that is a good argument. There's a great debate going back now in this campaign. If her opponent, Senator Obama, succeeds in making this election a choice between change and experience, he can't lose that debate. You can't lose that debate because we need change too much, right? But this is the only area of our life where we would ever think that if you have experience making change, you should be disqualified from leading the change in the future. There is no other area of American life where we would make this argument. Otherwise, every four-star general would have been a second lieutenant in his previous position. Right? I just got a book in the mail. These Army guys sound like a pretty good idea to them. I just got a book in the mail about the surgical team that performed my heart surgery. Remember when I had open heart surgery? Okay, so they invented this really neat journalist, and he got to watch all this surgery for a couple of years. And he wrote about this crack team that works in open heart and lung surgeries. And here's what the guy says in the first chapter. He says, there is only one absolute predictor of success in these miraculous open heart and lung surgeries: by hospital. How many surgeries do they do every year? And the more they do, the better they are at it. When Magic Johnson goes around and endorses Hillary for president, he says, you know, I think experience does mean something. He said, you know, when I left the NBA, I couldn't run as fast or jump as high as I could when I entered the NBA. but I've played the pressure games a lot better. As nearly as I can tell, being president's one long pressure game. I want somebody who's been there and knows how to do it. And I can just tell you, Hillary has never warmed a seat in her life. All her life, she's been a change maker. When we were in law school, she took another year in law school when everybody else was dying to get out to try to make sure that she finished a project she was working on for guidelines for protection for abused and neglected children. Back then, there were no protections, and I can still remember her going to dinner with me with tears in her eyes talking about kids with cigarette burns in their arm, kids that hadn't been fed in 10 days, no legal protections in. There are protections now in every state in the country because of work she was doing as a young woman trying to change other people's lives. I can still remember her first job out of law school, trying to help kids that were dropping out of school because they had disabilities, usually very minor physical or mental disabilities. There was no special education law then, but she and her friends filed a report with Congress that led to the law that says every kid in this country is entitled to an equal and appropriate public education without regard to their disability. She was making changes in other people's lives. The same thing was true when I was governor of Arkansas. She ran our school reform program. When I came here running for president, a national expert said it was one of the 2 best in the country in improving the schools. And when I was president, she led our fight for the Children's Health Insurance Program. 6 million kids got health care, the biggest expansion since Medicare. She went to 80 other countries for us. And in the Senate, nobody has done more across party lines to pass legislation to get body armor to our troops quicker, to guarantee that members of the Pennsylvania National Guard gets the same health care when they come home from combat as regular military personnel do for life. It's a huge deal for National Guard families all over America. And given the family and medical leave law, there are just so many things that she's done. She's always been a change agent. I don't think those things should disqualify her from being president. I think they recommend her as the person most likely to be able to make changes in other people's lives. So, that's my case. We got the best ideas to rebuild the middle class and get America moving. She'd be the best commander-in-chief. She's the best change maker. The last thing you need to care about is this. And in Johnstown, you really need to think about this after all you've been through the last 20 years. You need to vote for somebody for president that you're positive will not forget you when the election is over. Because it's easy for that to happen. Let me tell you something. You get elected president, if you're not careful, you can think you are somebody. I mean, you've been so serious. Let's have a little fun here. You just think about what being president's like. First of all, every time you walk in the room, if you're president, they play Hail to the Chief. They play a song every time.